that the first step that you take is to dialogue. And so, with CS process to take. And so, on the initiative of Prime Minister Gonçalves, along with the President of Brazil, this is what's happening. They are talking. And as the Prime Minister would say, once you're talking, you're not fighting. And so this is why this is significant. The Caribbean is generally, since 10 years ago, the Caribbean was declared as a zone of peace by CELAC. And we want to make sure that that is maintained. And both sides have committed to maintaining the Caribbean and Latin America as a zone of peace. And this is just part of the process.
Well, is it too early, therefore, for you to speak about what could be some of the possible outcomes?
It is too early. It is too early. The critical element is to have persons talking.
Right.
It is then up to the principals, the President of Venezuela and the President of Guyana, to guide us into what direction events will take. And so it isn't for us at this point to predict what the outcome would be. We are confident that it would be a positive outcome, but we also think that this is the beginning of the dialogue, not the end, that the process doesn't begin and end today.
Okay. You mentioned CELAC's involvement. If you can just get a little bit more intimate in terms of what are some of the things they've done leading up to today's historic conversation.
Well, as you are aware, St. Vincent and the Grenadines assumed the presidency of CELAC in January of this year. And because St. Vincent and the Grenadines have always been at the forefront in taking a principled position in terms of diplomacy, we have been able to be an effective broker on the facilitator whenever there is any disagreements. And Prime Minister Gonçalves is highly regarded when it comes to that. And so for us, everyone started calling on CELAC to play a role in getting Guyana and Venezuela to the table and to mediate in some way. And Prime Minister Gonçalves took up the challenge to organize this particular event today.
I know Prime Minister Gonçalves mentioned that CELAC also has, well, their approach is two-pronged, because in all, even with dealing with this, you're also, on the other hand, dealing with the changeover of the presidency of CELAC next February to Honduras.
March 1st, yes.
Yes, right. So what does today mean for that process?
Well, I suspect that even with the handing over to Honduras, that there would still be some involvement by St. Vincent and the Grenadines in terms of getting a resolution, a positive resolution to the conflict. I think we just see in the arrival there of President Maduro, or is it that?
I'm not sure as yet. So once we see that, we will. Prime
Minister Gonçalves, I think, will continue to be involved. The way that CELAC operates, the presidency rotates every year. The secretariat for CELAC resides in the country that holds the presidency, so we had to establish an office here for this year to administer the process in CELAC. Then in March, when we hand over, we become part of the Troika. So the Troika would then be Honduras, St. Vincent as the outgoing, and Colombia as the incoming president after Honduras. And so still there will be that involvement in all of the decision making in terms of CELAC.
Okay. Well, I know you've got other roles to play today, so we're going to grab you now, and when we get you a little bit later on, we're going to make sure you come back and so we can get some updates.
No problem.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ellsworth John, ambassador to Cuba. And we thank you very much as I welcome back the other members of the team who deserted me for a short while, but that's okay. That's okay.
Just giving you the spotlight for it.
We did not desert.
Yes.
But of course, we continue to bring you coverage from the Argyle International Airport in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where we're here, and I love the reference to the historic conversation between the Corporate Republic of Guyana and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Yes. And expectations are high today.
Definitely.
And
Another aircraft has
yes,
arrived.
there's another in queue. Moments ago, we had the arrival of a Convias aircraft.
And I think we all know. I think we all know when we see
I see some movements
certain
on the ground.
movements and what is
Yes.
happening. I think we can anticipate who is arriving,
All
and
right.
all of this is taking place amidst the extra hive of activity at the airport, because of course it is Christmas time, and persons returning Vincentians and visitors alike are arriving to be with their family and friends to celebrate Christmas, which is of course is one of those peak seasons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And if we're talking about Christmas and peak seasons, we must mention the fact that our 9 morning celebrations will in fact commence tomorrow.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And before that is 9 nights,
9
and
nights.
some of us
9
who are
nights.
involved in the church will go to novena,
Yes.
early mornings, and persons will do their Christmas.
Actually, tomorrow's 9 nights and then 9 mornings
Yes.
on bright and early on Saturday morning. Yes.
Right from 9
Straight from 9 nights straight into the 9 mornings.
I'm actually just getting some very interesting information. I'm just awaiting
Confirmation?
clearance if I can share that information, and I think this is the information everyone has been waiting for the entire day. I'm just
Does
awaiting.
it have anything to do with that approaching aircraft?
I believe so. I see the media on the ground is
I
already
think you know
getting-
that I'm very good at keeping
Yeah.
secrets. I think you know that I'm very good at holding information.
Well, I can see from the movements of the media on the ground and the
Yes.
fact that the security forces present giving instructions to those around them. Yes. And
But we're just awaiting
let's
clearance.
just wait for clearance for that.
I'm just awaiting clearance on that.
But you can see certain movements on the ground indicative of an important individual arriving.
Okay. Very
So?
interesting.
Of course, we don't want to
Preempt
go ahead.
anything.
Yes, and share information that
And the sensitivities involved
Privileged
as
information.
well. Yes, of course. But it's a hive of activity. We continue to make reference to that, and we ask the Vincentian public in all of this to be patient, because there will be some changes to routing as terms of traffic, and we saw various police stations while we were headed here shortly after 6 o'clock this morning, as we were headed to the Argyle International Airport for what I anticipate will be a very long day.
I see the police.
they're now
are
being given
actually-
instructions.
Yes, but they're in fact
They're
trying
moving.
to get the media to move out of particular position that they are on the tarmac. They seem to be heading more towards the
Aircraft on the ground.
arriving aircraft. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Well, just a moment ago, when we had the arrival of President Ali, there was quite a media frenzy, and I see members of the Venezuelan media running towards the aircraft now,
Yes,
which
there's definitely
clearly an
a
indication that's an
different-
important
Yeah.
figure on board.
Yeah.
And
Different media audience.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Media interest.
and
Yes, I
our
think.
media across the region and around the world generally quite territorial in some cases, and capturing that perfect
Yes.
shot or that perfect soundbite.
Yes.
But we continue to bring you coverage here from the Argyle International Airport. If you're just joining us, we welcome you across St. Vincent, the Grenadines, the Caribbean, and the world, as we know that we have an international audience as well. And international media would have their correspondents here, and those who are not able to will be following what's happening closely to report on their various platforms. Our radio audience as well on NBC Radio here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we say good morning to you.
So we have a good shot, fairly good shot of the now arriving aircraft. One pilot has alighted. I see
Has
someone
Prime
else.
Minister Gonzalez gone to the
Yes.
aircraft?
Yes.
Is Prime Minister Gonzalez in the shot at the aircraft?
I think I saw him headed in that direction,
Yes,
but I'm not seeing him at the moment.
Okay. Well, I think the wife of the Prime Minister is there. Well, there he is, the President of Venezuela. I believe will be.
Alighted.
It's not theirs yet.
It's not there yet.
I think those are the senior officials accompanying.
Yes, but I believe if we have the cross-section of members of his advanced party standing at the foot of the aircraft, that one can only assume
That he's not
that
too
is
far away.
likely to happen, or he's not too far away. And we anticipate with his arrival that we will have the commencement. And once the formal proceedings or the formal conversation begins, then we will, of course, return you to your various studios, and then we will rejoin when. Yes, we will. There is a press conference at the end of the conversation today, of which we
Whenever
cannot
that is.
let you know a specific time, but we will use the opportunity to work the social media platforms to inform you so that you can join us for the beginning of that.
Yes, and we are waiting for the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to touch on Vincentian soil once more.
Once again.
And the media likewise, and the counterparts from Venezuela.
I'm sure, Colvin, you
also
had an
anticipating.
opportunity to meet President Maduro on a previous occasion when he visited.
Within 15 feet. He didn't greet personally.
Yes.
Of
But
course,
you
that
were
was in
close
his last.
enough.
Close enough.
Yes.
Close enough. I think I was in many of the regional media shots.
The Vice President has
She
now
has
gone.
onto the aircraft.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I must say that I've been fortunate to meet with, to have met President Maduro in another capacity when he last visited St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and some of the other leaders, of course, the changing faces of CARICOM. There are some leaders who are now new, and I was making reference, Ms. Daniel, to Mr. Harry the other day, that when we were in school, especially, it was common entrance at that time when you were preparing for common entrance. One of the things you had to be able to do was to rattle off the names of
Know
all
all of the regional
Caribbean
leaders.
prime ministers, and we were speaking about names such as Lyndon Pingling and Margaret, well, not Margaret Thatcher, but what are some of the other names?
I see they evaded you by now.
Yes.
I think Eugenia Charles.
Yes, that's the name that I was looking for. Eugenia Charles, Sir Compton, John Compton,
John Compton,
and
yes.
all those names, and even our own former
I
Prime
remember
Minister,
that Bastille
Sir
Pandy and all
James
of these
Smith.
names.
Yes, all
Yeah, we
those
had to remember
we
those
were
names.
remembering the other day when we were just looking at that, and I was actually asking him, is it still necessary for you to know those names heading into now the CPEA?
It's still very important.
probably more
Very, very important.
Even now.
Because it's a regional exam.
Yeah,
so-
I mean they change very, very often these days across the region, but at that point in time, going into an exam, it's information that you should be aware of as to who all our regional prime ministers and presidents are, and even the governor generals in
Yes,
some
you
cases.
had to know the governor generals.
Many of those names by now would evade one if you try to recall from primary school days and secondary school days. Some of the names will stick with you though. Some of them that you would remember always there. Lyndon Pingling is one of those that
Yes.
never left my
Yes.
my memory.
I think more so for the play on the name, if not anything else.
Yes, yeah. And PJ Patterson, that one
Yes,
never escaped me
yes.
as well.
Yes, when I saw the gentleman earlier, I thought of that leader in Jamaica, Edward Seaga.
Yes.
In fact, that's the name that came to my mind.
Seaga, yes.
When I saw the tall gentleman earlier when he alighted from the aircraft. But there seems to be a pregnant silence or a pause, albeit on the tarmac at the moment. I think everyone is waiting,
And there's
waiting in suspense
large gathering
to see
actually
who's
there.
going to alight from that aircraft.
Yeah, so we have a sense of anticipation in the air and the expectation of who we'll see alighting from that aircraft. I think we have an idea as to who will be coming out of that aircraft,
And I
but
think
we'll leave that for the
everybody
visuals.
is happier now. More
There's-
days that the main players has.
So there are some
potentially
movements.
still
There are some
Yes,
movements.
yes,
there
so do
are
we.
some
There you go.
movements.
And just and again,
we see some other logistics
instructions.
taking place on the ground. I recognize that lady earlier on as one of the media from Venezuela,
Venezuela, yes,
and I
yes.
believe that
That's
she's
the- that's the Vice
communicating to
President
her
also
colleagues.
disembarking.
Yes, as alighted as well.
Delcy Rodriguez.
And we've heard, we are hearing the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Band has struck up, which I think they are playing the anthems of both of the countries involved
arrive.
here as they arrive. So I believe that that's the cue that something is definitely happening, something is definitely taking place. And so we see some movements taking place. It's still a bit.
I think that's the president.
Mr. Harry?
It's
Yes, that's
quite difficult to
yes,
decipher.
I think
difficult to
as,
see.
as
That's
it's,
the president.
it's really crowded with not just the media but
Yes.
also the officials from
Okay,
the
we
countries.
should
But
see
you-
some recognition here
Yes,
Yes,
now.
there he is.
You
There he
couldn't-
is. We cannot
Yes.
mistake.
You can
Yes.
miss him.
You can't mistake.
At
He's a
all.
quite tall
Yes.
figure
Yes.
Yes.
and
Yes.
definitely stands out among his peers in terms of his
So
height.
he is here.
He is. So the word is that the president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela is underground here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines
see
within
Prime Minister
about
Gonzalez.
30 minutes of the arrival of Dr. Irfaan, who is the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, that arrived minutes earlier. So we're not getting a very clear shot, but that's understandable
Yes.
because of the hive of
Prime
activity
Minister,
happening
Dr.
there.
Gonzalez is actually right beside
Yes, he
the
is.
Venezuelan president. They're walking
Yes.
side by side.
And definitely the president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, familiar face. And today we would see, I believe, moments from now, those important discussions taking place here at the Argyle International Airport between both leaders and the CARICOM representative who would also be a part of that meeting, although we don't have the details of who are the individuals otherwise involved.
And seeing it on television is one thing as compared to when you look across on the tarmac, and I think they're just about the area where we are standing. If you look over, you can see that the number of persons who have actually converged in that particular area to witness the arrival of President Nicolas Maduro, and I see Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez, a shorter.
You know, yes.
Yes, and
haven't
so
seen
when you
him.
look at him as compared,
in
yes.
comparison to
Yes.
that of the
And
Venezuelan
there you see all
president.
of the cameras and all of the
Yes.
devices coming out, and it can get a little crowded in an occasion like this, with the media descending on you, and sometimes it can frustrate some of the media colleagues who are not used to the very competitive nature of regional media.
Well, an advantage here would be height in
True.
this particular scenario. So
Or
with
tripods.
those of us who are short,
We're at a disadvantage.
right, can use heels to help in that regard.
Yes. Yes, so we continue to bring you our coverage here from the Argyle International Airport as we have some activity happening on the tarmac at the moment. The arrival of the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, just in case you're joining us.
It appears that I'm not sure if I can say statement or if he's speaking in reference to a question, but I saw as if he was having a conversation a while ago. I can only anticipate that probably a member of the media got close enough to probably ask a question. And the way, of course, ensuring that all protocols in terms of security and otherwise are maintained as he gets safely into the international airport transit area, and of course then will be moved swiftly to the area where the meetings are being held here on site. It's not for me to say exactly where. Of course, we are bound by security as well to not share some of that information, and you would understand that.
The important thing is that
they're meeting
here,
and he has arrived.
Face-to-face meeting.
Right,
That's
and
the
he has
important.
arrived. So what we can confirm at this moment is that both presidents have arrived safely in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and one can only anticipate a fruitful and productive conversation.
Yes, and we await the press conference that will follow that meeting. And again, we say that there are no time indications as yet, and we don't expect there to be a limit. Let's say that they cut off at a particular time as the discussions continue, and the point comes for them to wrap that discussion. We will get a briefing as to what are some of the issues discussed during the course of that meeting. We're not privy to being anywhere near that meeting, of course, due to the nature of it. We will follow the press conference closely when that meeting is completed and get all the information then.
And of course, there's an overwhelming view that just getting these two presidents to sit down together in the same room is indeed a victory for peace itself. The alternative is something else, and that was one of the things Prime Minister spoke about last night. If there's no conversation, what are the possibilities? What are some of the consequences? Nothing is going to be solved in just one conversation, but at least the conversation has commenced, and that is what's important.
And the important part he raised was the part that speaking terms was the first step in having some sort of understanding of the nature of what is being discussed. And the fact that we can get both of them in the same physical space is a sign that we are moving along. And expectations are quite high on both sides, I believe. So let's wait if we have, I'm not sure if we have any other members of the delegation visit. I believe that was the last one from what we're told.
I believe once the main players are here,
the meeting will commence.
Even if anyone arrives after them, that they would, things would proceed. I see that we're getting our cue to, of course, wrap up because you know how this gets. So what we can tell you is that both leaders are here. The president of the Corporate Republic of Guyana, Dr. Irfaan, and the president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Lady, gentlemen, your final thoughts, because we've got to move with haste.
All we can say is that we do hope that the discussions are quite fruitful today and a step in the direction of a great understanding between both countries, and we look forward to the press conference later today.
And that's how I myself would end. I look forward to the final conversation at the end of all the conversations today. We'll see you then.
So on behalf of the technical team, and we've got a large technical team, and we'll share the names at the end of today's exercise.
Later on.
We want to wish you a very happy day. Keep viewing our social media pages, and we will share with you when we will be live on air. We return you now to your various studios.
Thank you.